Texans are getting that football feeling back.
That would be so awesome.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? You're tuning into the Texas Tailgate Talk podcast. I'm your host, Big Sarge. Make sure you follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end. Follow me on the Tick and the Talk at Big Sarge Media. Make sure you subscribe to the Texas Tailgate Talk podcast, all one word, Texans Tailgate Talk. Ooh, I'm moisturized this morning. Look at me looking all moisturized-y. Yeah, Texans Tailgate Talk, all one word. Subscribe to the podcast and to the YouTube channel. Follow me on Instagram at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end. Because, you know, we do everything for the gram. And make sure you subscribe to the make sure you go to www.bigsargemedia.com for all the articles. I have a new one coming up after I talk to a veteran on today. All right, so it's Thursday. Day 2 of Houston Texans training camp is about to start. And on Wednesday, I did a small recap and I said, hey, we're going to do the Texans happy hour. And then I had something to come up. And there was an important matter that I had to take care of. So I apologize for not giving you all that Texans happy hour after day 1. You know for a fact that I will make up for it. I will make sure that I make up for it to you all so that, you know, that you all could have that. And so what I may do is combine day 1 and day 2 together. As far as observations and things like that are concerned. Now, those of you who follow me on social media, you've seen that I put out that I was super excited about being back at the Texans training camp because it's my 9th season. It's my 9th season covering the Houston Texans, and I never take that for granted. I never take those type of things for granted because, you know, when the opportunities are there, you have to take the opportunities. And you know, a lot of people don't get the opportunity. So when you do get the opportunity, and being in this business as long as I have, I've seen people come and I've seen people go, and I've seen people not be appreciative and grateful for the access that they have as far as being able to cover these professional athletes. And I'm talking about, you know, in any professional sport. But, you know, when you're covering the best sport in the world, and that's football, I will argue and debate with anybody. And look, you know, I don't normally use the word argue, but I will argue and debate that there's no better sport in the world than football. And I'm talking about from the NFL level all the way down to Pop Warner. Football is king. Football is amazing. And to be able to cover it at the highest level as I do by covering the Houston Texans, I do not take that for granted, especially, you know, knowing where I came from to where I am now. I'm truly, truly appreciative of that. So I was very excited to be back, very excited to see, you know, some of my colleagues, very excited to see, you know, get a chance to talk to some of these players who, you know, has had a really good off season and had some life-changing things happen in the off season. It's like Henry To'oTo'o, linebacker Henry To'oTo'o, he got married this off season. Offensive lineman Juice Scruggs is expecting, his wife is expecting a child. I think he's having a boy here pretty soon. You know, Nico had his camp, Will had his camp. Just a lot of things that were going on. And so, you know, they were just ready to get back to football, get that football feeling back. They were ready to get that football feeling back. And so it was really good to be out there. And like I said, just, you know, going through the motions basically on day 1. And that's exactly what the Houston Texans did. The Houston Texans didn't do a lot. On Monday, they were just okay, you know, what D'Amico was trying to do was just get them reacclimated to being back into a routine, get them back to okay. So look, training camp has started, football season has started. We're about to get this thing started. So this is what we need to be doing. And so they took it light. I think they only went through like 2 drills. They didn't do their normal training camp routine that they have done. They just, hey, let's get out there. Let's get ourselves reacclimated to being on the field. Let's get ourselves reacclimated to going through the routine of practice. And so, day one was light. But there's 2 things that I want to talk about before I get up out of here and head on over to NRG Stadium. Before I head on over to NRG Stadium for day 2 of the Houston Texans training camp. First thing is, I got an opportunity during the after practice press conference to ask head coach D'Amico Ryans how excited he was about Nick Caley's offense. You know what? I'm not going to even do you that disservice of trying to say it or repeat it verbatim. I'm just going to let you hear what he had to say.
Guys ready to go.
So you got a chance to see Nick Caley's offense, even though it's on paper and now it's translating over to the field as far as training camp is concerned. What are some of the things about that offense when you take a look at it that excites you?
What excites me most about Caley's offense is that it's evolving and it's being tailored toward the Houston Texans and the guys that we have on our roster. So what excites me the most is not just copy and paste from other places that he's been, and he's been very successful at other places, but he's been very, very thorough with the installation process of where do we want to put our guys, what position, what's the best spot for our guys to be in. So you look at it through that lens, it's going to be about the Houston Texans. And that's what I love most about the offense is him being able to be adaptable and put our guys where they need to be.
So if you listen to that, right, I don't know if you all remember the quote that I had put out from Nico Collins at his after he finished his youth camp. And I said, Nico told me, yo, this offense is fire. This offense is going to put us in the best position to take that next step. He's like, there's a lot of things. And I think that Nico spoke about that in the press conference on Monday as well when he was asked about the offense. But Nico had told me like 2 weeks ago how much he loved this offense. And you can just hear exactly what D'Amico just said about the offense. And and I waited. I'm going to be honest with you. I waited. And I haven't listened to other people give their observations. I haven't listened or read anything about what other people said. So I don't know what has been said or what people have said about that, about my question and the answer that D'Amico gave me. And so this is purely just me. And like I said, I waited because I had to listen to it on more than one occasion. Then I had to go and I had to read the transcript. And I was like, okay, so D'Amico is not throwing Bobby under the bus, because like when you throw somebody under the bus, that means that you're just like, hey man, it's all your fault and it was nobody else's fault. It's all your fault. And so that's what throwing somebody under the bus is. Hey, well, one of the things about throwing somebody under the bus. But what D'Amico said, he didn't throw Bobby under the bus. He was just being honest. He was just being honest. And it just sounded like the offense wasn't catered. And especially, so I told you all that, it's different for me because I get an opportunity to speak to the players and I get an opportunity to speak to other people throughout the organization. And I will say this, throughout my time on that former show, before I got on the former show, I would tell you all, hey man, there's something that's not right about this offense, and something is not clicking about this offense. And then talking to the players, they're like, there's no room to be able to deviate from certain things. And it just started to become more and more, it got stale almost, and it wasn't exciting. And that's why you've seen them take so many I mean, that's why you've seen him take so much criticism because about not scoring in the second half or not being able to produce, especially in the second half, because that offense became predictable. So what D'Amico is saying is that, hey, look, I'm going to, what I love about Nick Caley's offense is that he has tailored it to. I know what Nico's strengths are. I know what Christian Kirk's strengths are. I know what CJ Stroud's strengths are. I know what Joe Mixon's strengths are. And on a previous podcast and on a previous live, I said experience is going to be the key to success for Nick Caley. And the fact that he has been a position coach, something that Bobby was not, but the fact that he has been a position coach, he has an advantage, especially over Bobby, because he knows exactly what everything that entails as far as being a tight end. And so now if he's calling the plays, he knows, okay, so look, I I have that mindset of, hey, look, I've coached this position, and so I know that where I can put these players, I know where I could put them to be successful. I know what I want a tight end to do as far as my offense is concerned because I have coached that position. And so when you hear D'Amico talk about, hey, the thing that excites me the most is it's being tailored to our players. It's being tailored towards the Houston Texans. It was, it's a great area in there because if you really listen to what he's saying, when he's saying about the copying and the pasting, he wasn't talking about Bobby taking Kyle Shanahan's offense from San Francisco. He wasn't talking about that. But there's been a lot of chatter about, hey, he's gonna, take from Nick Caley is going to take from the New England Patriots, and Nick Caley is going to take from the Los Angeles Rams, and what he learned from Josh McDaniels and what he learned from Sean McVay. And what he was saying is, yes, he's going to learn that. I mean, he's going to take some of those things, but it's not going to be copy and paste. And if we're keeping it a buck, like I said, we're keeping it a buck. Sometimes that offense last season did look like a copy and paste of the 49ers. But I don't think right there that D'Amico was saying throwing shots at Bobby Slowick. What I think he was saying is that we're not going to see the New England Patriots offense and we're not going to see the Los Angeles Rams offense. You may see a different variations of that, but it's going to be Nick Caley's offense for the Houston Texans. And so that's what I got out of that whole thing. That's what I got from what D'Amico said. And it was a really good question. And you could tell that he was, it's a really good quote. I said a really good question. I mean, I asked it. So of course I think it was a good question, but it was a really good quote because it goes and falls in line with everything else that was said afterwards. After D'Amico said that, CJ Stroud was asked about the offense and he shared the same sentiments. And then Nico Collins was asked about the offense, and he shared the same sentiments. And so you could just see that excitement about playing in this new offensive system. And it's something there. Look, I haven't gotten a chance to see the playbook. I haven't gotten a chance to see it fully implemented in training camp because there's only been one day of training camp and they were very, very run heavy on day one. So there's just a lot of run plays in day one. And so as time goes on, and especially when they're holding training camp in West Virginia, I think that we'll get an opportunity because now they're away from everything. I think I'll get a clear view of what's going to be put in place and how they're going to take that next step because they started training camp on Wednesday. They practice again on Thursday. They practice again on Friday. And then I think it's all open practices leading up to going to West Virginia. And so in those open practices, because they know that it's so many people out there recording, it's so many people out there watching, you're not going to get an opportunity to see a lot of the deep diving of what this offense is going to do. You may see some things here, some things there, but I think that once they get to West Virginia, where it's just them and some of the local media who's traveling, getting an opportunity to see And now that offense is going to be fully implemented. Because now they're just going to be putting pieces in, putting pieces in, putting pieces in. But by that time, because they're going to be leading up to their first preseason game against the Minnesota Vikings, you'll get an opportunity to see them actually do it. So, you know, you can just hear the excitement, though. You just hear the excitement. And so I was like, all right, I can get it. I can dig it. And especially for it being such a light day, and especially for them doing so much running, I definitely I could understand that. Plus, I could understand and I look at it from a different lens from D'Amico's quote as not throwing Bobby under the bus, because D'Amico doesn't throw anybody under the bus, especially to the media. And with that being said, we're about to take a break. But when we come back, you can't tell me what my eyes see. You can't tell me what I observe. You can't you can't look through your eyes and tell me what I'm seeing. I'm gonna jump into that as soon as I get back. We'll be back.
Hi, Laura Williams coming to you here from Easy Honda. Just want to remind you that this is my new home, and here at Easy Honda, we are here to take care of all your vehicle needs. From new vehicles to pre-owned vehicles, we've got what you are looking for. And if you're a business and you're looking for vehicles, we've got a great selection here at our dealership. For any information on getting your next vehicle here at Easy Honda, you can reach me at 281-224-3666. Remember to ask for Laura Williams. We make it easy here at Easy Honda.
Welcome back. You're tuning into the Texans Tailgate Talk podcast. I'm your host, Big Sarge. Make sure you subscribe to the Texans Tailgate Talk podcast and YouTube channel. Remember, it's all one word, Texans Tailgate Talk. All right, so before we went to the break, we had an opportunity to hear from Houston Texans head coach D'Amico Ryans talk about the excitement of Nick Caley's offense. And in the midst of that, he said, it won't be any copying and pasting, and this offense will be tailored towards the Houston Texans, right? And so, just looking at social media, some people took that as a slight and a diss and a jab from D'Amico Ryans, coming from D'Amico Ryans to Bobby Slowick. And let me say this. D'Amico, first of all, wouldn't do that because Bobby is his friend. He brought Bobby when he came from San Francisco. He gave Bobby the opportunity to be a offensive coordinator. So D'Amico doesn't do that. But let me tell you something. Let me tell you this. Because D'Amico just got a street named after him in Bessemer, Alabama, right? Bessemer, Alabama ain't a big city, but you could tell as you're watching the clips that, where D'Amico comes from, his roots. I say that to say this, right? So growing up in a black family, right? And I'm talking about me now, but looking at D'Amico and his and the community in which he grew up in, I could see that he probably pretty much went through these same things, right? But let me just talk about it from a black family perspective. And this could be all family perspective. I don't know. I've never really been in other families. I only grew up in a black family, right? I grew up in a black family. I grew up in a black community. And in the black community, in the black family, you don't tell family business. You don't tell family business to others. If you're going to talk about the family business, it's only two people you can talk to truly and honestly about what's going on in your household and in your family. One is your grandmama, your big mama, your nana, whatever you call her. The grandmothers are going to know everything that's going on in everybody's household. No matter how big the family is, no matter how small the family is, the grandmother is going to know everything that's going on. The truth. Because everybody is going to go and they're going to confide in Big Mama. And Big Mama ain't going to say nothing, but Big Mama is going to let you get it all out. Big Mama's going to listen, right? But that's as far as you take it as far as family is concerned. Big mama, you don't let the family business get out. And your pastor. That's how I grew up. My grandmama knew everything, and the pastor knew everything. Only two people. You don't go out. One thing that was put into my mind at an early age by physicality and mentally. So physically and mentally, you don't tell the family business. You keep it in house. You keep that family business in house. Now, Sarge, why are you talking about that, Sarge? Why are you saying it like that? Why are you using the black family and the black community and talking about you don't tell the family business, you keep it in house? Because that's what coaches do. Nobody has realized that yet. That's what coaches do. If you listen to coaches, the majority of them, they're not finna tell you what's going on behind the scenes. They're going to come to the podium, they're going to answer the questions, and they're going to tell you what they want you to hear, but you're not going to find out what's really going on behind the scenes unless you have access to what's going on behind the scenes. The coaches, black and white, have that mentality of you don't tell the family business. When Bobby Slowick was struggling last season, right? When he was struggling to find some type of offensive identity, when he was getting his butt whipped by defensive coordinators, when he just looked terrible. How many times did D'Amico throw Bobby under the bus? Did you hear D'Amico say anything about Bobby Slowick throwing him under the bus? He didn't. He'd come out and he'd say, we need to do better. We need to do this. We, as a team, we, us, we need to. Now, behind the scenes, away from the podium, you think that's what was being said? Look, one reason you come and you listen and you support Big Sarge Media, and the one reason you listen to this podcast and the one reason you listen to this show is because you know, one, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, and two, I ain't gonna lie to you. Now, if I don't tell you something, that's not lying to you. That's just me not telling you. So I don't even want to lead y'all down that road. Behind the scenes, there was a lot being said. There was a lot being said about Bobby. A lot. That was behind the scenes. And that wasn't for me to come out and tell. Because I got stuff told to me, and I was like, it's off the record. Cool. But D'Amico never came in front of the camera and threw Bobby Slowick under the bus. When that offensive line looked as bad as it did, right? When that offensive line looked as bad as it did, how many times did D'Amico throw Chris Strausser, former offensive line coach, under the bus? Don't worry, I'll wait. I was at all the press conferences, post-game, practices. When did D'Amico throw Chris Strausser under the bus? Knowing that offensive line was struggling, knowing that offensive line was one of the worst offensive lines in the league, when did he throw Chris Strausser under the bus? What did he always say? Us. We need to. Now, behind the scenes, once again, were there things being said about Chris Strausser? Were there things known about Chris Strausser early on, like mid-season? When Bobby was struggling, when Chris Strausser was struggling, did D'Amico come in and fire either one of them mid-season? Nope. Just kept pushing, kept moving forward, kept pushing, kept moving forward. Didn't throw them under the bus. Didn't come out and criticize them. Didn't do none of that. I prefaced that statement to say this. On day one, right? So to start off training camp, the Houston Texans players will come out of the bubble and they'll come to the field and they'll run a couple of plays. With the first team offense, they'll get some run in there, and then the other, they'll run just this quick little period of them doing things. So Wednesday, they came out And the offensive line unit was Cam Robinson at left tackle, Laken Tomlinson at left guard, Jared Patterson at center, Titus Howard at right tackle, and Ariante Ursery excuse me, Titus Howard at right guard, and Ariante Ursery, the rookie, at right tackle. So I seen that and I was like, oh wow, okay. So Ariante is getting a chance to run with the ones. All right, that's interesting because I know that they play. There's going to be some shuffling. There's going to be some mixing and some matching of some things that's going on. So I get that part, but this was like, okay, okay, all right. So I looked, I paid attention. Okay, so then they went, and when they came to do team drill 1, Ariante was at right tackle again. And the reason why that piqued my interest is because throughout OTAs and throughout minicamp, Blake Fisher had been at right tackle. But now you got Ursery at right tackle, and you have Blake Fisher running with the second unit. So I can only report what I see. I can only report what I see, and I wasn't the only one that reported it. And so I said all that, I said that. And then D'Amico came to the press conference and he was asked a question about the offensive line.
They're doing what you want, and is there one guy that's kind of taking that charge?
Yeah, for the O-line, Will, it's always tough when it's hard for me to, you continue to evaluate O-line. It's hard when you don't have pads on because that's how the game is played up front, O-line, D-line. You got to put the pads on to have a true evaluation of how that'll look. But the small things that stuck out to me and what Cole has done a really good job of, just those small, intricate details that they'll translate, pads or not, and that's hand placement, your feet being right, like where are your shoulders, where are your eyes, the communication, all of those little things that really allow those guys to bind together as one. I think that's where y'all see the growth in our offensive line. Those guys being on the same page, they're being intentional with how they're working an individual. It's very deliberate, and so I see that translates. And that's what I expect from all of our coaches, to be deliberate in how you prepare your guys as individual. That's what I've seen throughout the spring with Cole, with Zach, and that will translate. It's shown up here. They've done a great job communicating today, and that'll keep allowing those guys to be the best version of themselves and do a great job of run blocking first and foremost as a unit, and then also protecting CJ.
So, of course, I was standing there, I heard it, and then, it got clipped up, and then I got tagged in some stuff, and I was like, okay, I'm cool with that. All right, yeah, all right. Trying to say Sarge was wrong. Trying to say that when I said during minicamp, OTAs and minicamp, that some of these offensive linemen don't look good. And then it was like, well, they're not in pads. And I was like, I get that they're not in pads. I've been, covering this game for entirely too long to know that there's a difference between being in pads and out of pads. And one thing that I said was, it doesn't matter if you got the pads on or not. It's the fundamentals. It's the fundamentals. It's the fundamentals. Have I ever played offensive line? Younger. When I was in Pop Warner, I was playing out of position. But that's what my daddy wanted me to play. So that's where I played. I don't remember anything about playing the offensive line. Because when I played in high school, and that's the farthest that I went, but when I played in middle school and high school, I played wide receiver and safety. That's it. Wide receiver, safety, cornerback. So I said that, right? And I said the fundamentals. And then people came out, because there's more than one person that came out after D'Amico said what he said. And like, yeah, Sarge, you were wrong. You heard what he said. Let's play the clip one more time. And then I want you to hear, there's a key phrase, like two key phrases in what D'Amico says that we're about to talk about.
They're doing what you want, there one guy that's kind of taking that charge?
Yeah, for the O-line, Will, it's always tough when it's hard for me to, you continue to evaluate O-line. It's hard when you don't have pads on because that's how the game is played up front, O-line, D-line. You got to put the pads on to have a true evaluation of how that'll look. But the small things that stuck out to me and what Cole has done a really good job of, just those small, intricate details that they'll translate, pads or not, and that's hand placement, your feet being right, like where are your shoulders, where are your eyes, the communication, all of those little things that really allow those guys to bind together as one. I think that's where y'all see the growth in our offensive line, those guys being on the same page, they're being intentional with how they're working an individual. It's very deliberate, and so I see that translates, and that's what I expect from all of our coaches, to be deliberate in how you prepare your guys as individual. That's what I've seen throughout the spring with Cole, with Zach, and that will translate. It's shown up here. They've done a great job communicating today, and that'll keep allowing those guys to be the best version of themselves and do a great job of run blocking first and foremost as a unit, and then also protecting CJ.
Did you hear what he said? He said small things, hand placement, feet, shoulders, pads or not, hand placement, feet, shoulders. Is that not fundamentals? Am I tripping? Am I the only one that sees that? Is that not fundamentals? And that's exactly what I said. They go back and they're looking at the fundamentals. He said pads or not. Doesn't matter if you got the pads on or not, your fundamentals are not going to change. They're not. When these receivers are out here, their fundamentals don't change because they ain't got pads on. It doesn't change. The fundamentals. And so the reason why it piqued my interest that Ariante was out there on day one. Now, we're getting ready to head into day two. Blake Fisher could be right back there because they could go back and they could say, okay, we seen something, right? Let's put Blake back over there. They're going to be mixing and matching, of course, right? Of course. And to me, I don't care who starts at right tackle. That's not my job to do. My job is to look, observe, and report. And in minicamp and in OTAs, I said, hey, his fundamentals are off. There's more than one former offensive lineman and defensive lineman that cover the Houston Texans that come to these practices. And I speak with them and I talk with them. Hey, what's going on? Yeah, that ain't right. He's supposed to blah, 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 blah. Talk to a former NFL offensive lineman. Know what he told me? It doesn't matter. The only thing that the pads do is add the physicality part. The pads add the physicality. Ain't got nothing to do with your fundamentals. It's your physicality. If you got good fundamentals, in pads or out of pads, you're going to be the same. Has nothing to do whether if you got the pads on, you getting beat by Will Anderson Jr. or Danielle Hunter, because maybe you can be a little bit more physical. But when y'all are going up against each other, and even though the defense will have a small advantage over it, we're not trying to see that. We don't care if Will shoots off the line and does what he does. I need to see what your fundamentals are, what your base is. So when we do put these pads on, I have full confidence in you going to do what you need to do. So when I seen Ariante Ursery, the first thing that went through my mind is they seen something on film about Blake Fisher. Because Blake Fisher got a lot of game reps at the right tackle position last season. So maybe they seen something on film, and maybe that's something that Cole Popovich is working with him on, because Cole Popovich is a brilliant offensive line mind, if that's even the right way to say it. But when it comes to offensive linemen, Cole Popovich got it. And so maybe he's telling Blake, hey, take a step back here, right? So when things are going on, I can talk to you or I can show you. Or maybe he's like, hey, let me put Ariante right there to see what he's going to do. Let me put Ursary right there just to see what he's going to do. But during OTAs and minicamp, they seen something. They seen something that made them remove Blake Fisher from that right tackle spot where he was all the time in OTAs. And listen, there was three things that was concrete in OTAs, minicamp, and the beginning of training camp. Titus at right guard, Laken Tomlinson at left guard, and Blake Fisher at right tackle, Titus Howard at right guard, Cam Robinson at left tackle. Those three things were solid and in concrete. Blake was at the right tackle, Titus was at the right guard, and Cam Robinson was at the left tackle. So now, when you come into the first day of training camp, and two out of those three, one of those things has changed, knowing that that's what, listen, no matter who they put at center, no matter who they put at left guard, those three things stayed the same. Now, Blake is not there, and you got the rookie right there. So now it's like, okay, so what happened? So what happened? The pads ain't got nothing to do with that. Something happened. And I just reported on what I seen. Just like when I get out to training camp on Thursday, I'm going to report what I see. And if Blake Fish is back at right tackle, I'm going to put that out on social media. Blake Fish is back at right tackle. Now, Sarge, you didn't say it a whole lot, but why did you tell us about the Black family to start off this segment? Why did you tell us about the Black family? Why did you tell us about the Black community? Why did you say all of that and not get back to it? Because I hear what you're saying, Sarge, but what does that have to do with growing up in a Black household or growing up in a Black community where you didn't tell the family business? Hey, do you think that D'Amico was going to come to the podium and say, hey, Blake Fisher didn't look good in OTAs and minicamp, so we decided to replace him with Ariante Ursary, if that was the case? You think he's going to come to the podium and say that? In his 2 years, going on 3 years of coaching, when have you ever heard D'Amico throw anybody under the bus? And if that's the case, if Blake Fisher is not doing his job, do you think D'Amico's finna come to the podium and say that? So tagging me in what he said, right? And not taking it into totality, but trying to take bits and pieces and semantically speak. Listen, I've been around D'Amico long enough to know he's not going to throw anybody on the bus. He's not going to throw his team. He's not going to throw any of his players under the bus. He'll deal with that internally. What are we talking about here? I don't get it. I don't understand. Doesn't make any sense to me. So he's not going to say, hey, look, I know we didn't have pads on, but, Blake Fisher's fundamentals may have been off. I don't know that to be a fact. I am going to find out what happened, though. I don't know that to be a fact, but he's not going to do it. He ain't finna tell the family business. He's not finna say why he put Ariante Ursary right there and removed Blake Fisher. He's not gonna say it. That's when, the journalists have to do their job. The media members have to do their job, and they have to find out what's going on. I had an opportunity to speak with a father whose son plays offensive lineman in the NFL. And I asked him, hey man, just because I don't want to be wrong. I'm sorry. I don't want to give misinformation. I don't care about being wrong. Let me say that. I don't care about being wrong. If I'm wrong, I can admit that I'm wrong. I say, I don't want to be out here giving misinformation or be talking out the side of my neck, right? talking out the side of my neck. I say, am I tripping? I say, am I tripping when I say that even without the pads on, the fundamentals, the fundamental without the pads on, you still have to have the fundamentals? And he said, no, you're right. He said, it don't matter whether you got them pads on or not. If you ain't coming out of your stance the right way, if you're not doing your kick step the right way, if you're a tackle or whatever the case may be, if you not tackle, but if you're not coming out of your stance properly, if you're not putting your hands in the right spot, which is just like what D'Amico said, he's like, if you ain't got your feet up under you, it don't matter whether you got pads on or not. Say it doesn't, because it's the fundamentals. And you live by those fundamentals, and you live by certain principles as an offensive lineman. He said the tackles have their fundamentals. He says, and the interior has their fundamentals. And you live by those fundamentals no matter what. You don't deviate from what got you there unless what's being taught to you is going to make you better. He said, and even then, whoever's coaching you and is going to make you, who's coaching you and showing you different types of things, if they're really good about what they're doing, they won't they won't mess with the basic and the fundamentals. He said, because as an offensive lineman, he said, from the Pee Wee level all the way to the NFL level, he says, if what you learn in the Pee Wee level, and then you take that to the middle school, and then you take that to high school, and then you take that to college, and you take that to the NFL. He said, you build on the basics, you get better at the basics, you get better at the fundamentals, but you keep those fundamentals. I don't know. I'm just a guy who gets an opportunity to cover the NFL, say what I see, put out what I see, and move on. Yeah. And let me tell y'all something. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not. Oh man, I love y'all and I missed y'all so much. I don't know if y'all can tell that or not. I gotta get, oh my goodness, look at the time. I gotta get up out of here. Texas training camp starts at Texas training camp starts at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. So I got to get ready to get myself up out of here. You've been tuned to the Texas Tailgate Talk podcast. Make sure you're subscribed to the Texas Tailgate Talk podcast and YouTube channel, all one word, Texas Tailgate Talk. Make sure you follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end. Follow me on the Tick and the Talk at Big Sarge Media. That's right. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end. Because we do everything for the gram. And make sure you're going to www.bigsargemedia.com for all my articles that's about to come out. Don't nobody else tell you today that they love you? I do. Big Sarge does. Bring it in. Let's get a hug. Big Sarge, I'm out.
Big Sarge.
Now, why in the hell would y'all think that I would leave y'all and not get into these comments? Y'all know I ain't going nowhere. I am. I got to get up out of here. I ain't gonna even lie. But I don't do y'all like that. And y'all know that. Y'all know I don't do y'all like that. Y'all know I don't do y'all like that. Y'all know I do not. I can edit this out. I know how to look. I know how to edit now. So Let me go in here and read some of these comments. And J Rock, be safe out there. Romanus, what's good? Alexis, what's going on? D Skills, D'Amico just cussed by me out. What's up, Amy Taylor? Amy Taylor. Rich boy, what's going on? It seemed like we all knew except the front office. What's up, Texans Tangent? I'll be out. D Skill say I'll be out there next Saturday for camp. Hey, let me know. Make sure I give you and your kids some water bottles. Grandmas are like giraffes. They can wrap their neck around you for a hug while still seeing reality. Exactly. Praise in public, reprimand in private. What's up, Tay? Hey, Queena. Good morning to you. Ross NFL. The rubber will meet the road soon enough. Sorry, preseason is here and is on the way. I mean, if it's more of the same, heads need to roll. All right, Rods. All right. Hold on. Let me put this up here real quick. D'Amico can't fire any more coaches. So yeah, D'Amico need to fire it. It's more of the same this season. Okay. Tay says offensive line basics boil down to just that. Hand placements, calls to the left and right, and if you and footwork, how you posture up during your pass pro, how quick you are to get to the next level. Right? What's up, Raul? Hey, Tay, I agree with that. Senior Boble, Duval TV. Cam Robinson can be a great addition to the O-line for sure. We're gonna see. Queena says so. In Blake's defense, he came in during the coaching debacle, so he could be a casualty of the previous coaching staff. I like Blake Fisher. I am not. Hey, listen, I like Blake Fisher, and Blake Fisher got that dog in him. So yeah, definitely, and I appreciate that Texans tangent. I really do. All right, y'all, I got to get up out of here, but y'all know me. Y'all know I want to make sure that what is that? Ooh, they got something new. I'm gonna see what that's about. Y'all make sure that y'all keep up because I'm gonna be putting out a lot of more stuff today. Big source salute. Y'all be safe out there.